Recording in progress.
Got it.
Welcome. November 5th, 2023. We have, 50 more questions, right?
5 more days till I'm 87.
That's right. That's crazy. So here's the first question, question 101. Do you remember the first time you saw a television?
Yes, I do.
All right, tell me about it.
Living in Idaho, and we came to California for some reason I don't remember. And there was a television in the store front that I got to see. So that was the first time I ever saw television. It was about 1952 or 53, something like that.
Really? So you saw it through the storefront window?
Yeah, so it's the storefront window. We didn't have it in Idaho. I was
Wow.
still living in Idaho at the time. So
So was the television on?
yes, it had a picture on it.
Do you know it was playing?
No, I don't remember.
That would be really interesting if you remembered what that was. Okay, what was the first time you saw a car?
Oh. Who knows? That's back. I would be very young at the time.
Yeah. Okay, how about a refrigerator?
Oh, I was living with my mother and father. I'm sure I saw a refrigerator, but I don't specifically remember what it looked like or what.
Yeah.
It
Oh.
had to be one of my younger 4 or 5 years old type thing.
Okay, well, this isn't on here, but maybe I could ask, when was the first time you saw a computer?
Hmm. I was working for TRW, I think it was, and it wasn't the microcomputer. Are you talking about microcomputers or
No, I'm
mainframe?
talking about a computer. Just,
Any computer.
yeah,
Well, probably about 1950, somewhere in there.
really. Was it one of
Yeah.
those huge ones that took up an entire room?
No, it was a small one that read paper tapes. You had to run a paper tape. You'd program your, sit down on a teletype machine and program your code in, and run that tape through there, run the other tapes that had the programs on it. Then it would print out a final tape and you run it to get your printout. So it was took 3 passes of paper tape through this machine to do
That's
the,
the calculations or whatever you had to do.
right.
That's wild.
But then I used computers a lot at TRW, and then I moved up to California and I asked BLM, where's their computer? And they says, oh, it's back in Cadastra, which is the surveyors.
Huh,
And I went back there and all they had was a programmable HP calculator. They thought that was their computers.
really?
So I had to go to Bureau of Reclamation next door and get time off of their computer to help me with my job.
Oh, that's
Well, they were
interesting.
very, very backward. So I essentially developed computers for BLM California, got them into the computer age,
Really? Because they
built
weren't,
the first computer room and all that kind of stuff.
you built all that for them?
I oversaw the development of it all. Yeah.
That's cool. Did they know you had that skill when they hired you?
Well, they hired me primarily for mobile radio,
Huh,
but because they didn't have computers and I wanted computers, I pressed the issue and got computers going.
cool.
I was taken back to Washington, D.C. to help develop it back there and develop the program for the entire bureau.
Wow, that's cool. But they
I'm
hired,
kind of I'm kind of proud of that if I can brag.
yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Got them into the computer age, like you said.
Yeah.
But mobile radio is what they hired you for?
Yeah, it was two-way mobile radios. It was California Desert environmental impact statement was being developed, and they're getting ready to put rangers out in the field, armed rangers. You-
Is that a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, Debbie bought it for me.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
I wouldn't have bought it, but she did.
I wouldn't think you would. Those
Too
things are,
tight.
I'm too tight too. I wouldn't buy it. I drink my water out of an old milk jug.
Anyway, when I came to work for BLM, they mostly only had fire uh, radios in the Susanville district. They were developing the Southern California Environmental Impact Plan. They're putting rangers out there with weapons. So they wanted to have radio communication. So if they ran into problems, they'd have radio to be able to radio back. So my first year with BLM, I was developing hanging mountaintop repeaters throughout the desert down there.
That's cool.
Flew some of them in big heavy metal boxes, had to fly them in by helicopter.
So you got to ride in the helicopters and then
Yeah,
did you zip line down out of the helicopter in to the ground?
helicopter dropped us down there. We had to jump out of the helicopter
Really?
and come
That's
back
cool.
up and jump back into it again. It was kind of probably dangerous to think about it, but
That's
did it.
fun. How many years did you do that?
Well, the first couple of years I was doing radio, developed fire radios for Northern California up through Ukiah and all those areas up north of here.
In the foothills?
And then also put a repeater in on the McCallany River. They have river rafting and they wanted to put a repeater so that when the BLM was taking people down through the rapids that they had radio coverage there. So I put a repeater in there for that.
Huh. So they take you with the equipment, put it down, and then you would put it together?
Well, I had a technician helping me too.
That's good.
I, I hired a fellow named Don Black about within a year after I started.
That name sounds familiar.
I'm sure you probably knew him. Yeah.
Don Black.
Yeah. He's about 10 years younger than me and passed away with a heart attack about 5, 6 years ago.
Dang.
Out on a golf course and just collapsed with his wife.
Wow. That's terrible.
But anyway, I hired him and then we slowly built up the rest of the program.
That's awesome. And then after that, that couple years, you started doing more managerial stuff.
Well, we're still hiring more people. We were setting up the computers and starting getting moving into that. Did a lot of graphics, started to be able mapping out BLM land and that kind of stuff on graphic computers.
Oh, that's cool. Beginnings of Google Maps.
You know, not quite the same.
I know. So why? I don't understand. These guys had weapons, so they wanted them to be able to radio back. So what kind of trouble would they run into in
Well,
Northern
they were
California?
told there'd be people out these wild groups out there against government and that kind of stuff, be practicing having things out going on out in the desert. In fact,
Really?
the Rangers were told if they ever came across one of those, they would told to back up and get out of there. Don't go in there.
Huh. What desert are you talking about, though?
Excuse me.
What desert are you referring to?
California's desert, Mojave Desert, desert by Barstow, Palm
Oh,
Springs, all that area out in there.
well, yeah, that's more. I was thinking Northern Cal, but that's more Southern Cal.
It's Southern California. Yeah, it was Southern Cal. In fact, I'd fly out of here on Mondays and go down there and spend the week and come flying back up here.
Huh. Did you fly into LA or Bakersfield,
Flew into Ontario
Ontario? Yeah. Get a rental car and head out there.
and go out to, go into Riverside,
Interesting.
out into the desert. I wouldn't be in a rental car. We didn't government vehicles then.
Nice. Did you ever run into groups out there?
No, never did run into any. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Do you think there's still some out there being crazy?
I'm sure there are. Yeah,
That's weird.
there's crazy people in this world.
Yeah, you're looking at one. All right, that's cool. Good, interesting information. We kind of got off topic, but that's kind of fun. So the next question, question's just huge. I don't know how you're going to answer this. How is the world different from what it was like when you were a child?
Entirely different.
Seriously.
Yeah, we didn't have television. Like I said, telephones were hanging on walls. Had to milk cows.
Well, people are still milking cows these days.
Well, so, but they weren't milking them with machines now. I was milking by hand when
Yeah,
Dad put Bobby and I out on the farm. I had to milk a cow every morning and night by hand, squeezing it.
that's for how's LA different than it was when you were a kid?
Traffic jam down there now.
Hmm.
We used to be able to go to the temple in 20 minutes. It probably takes an hour or hour and a half now to go.
Wow.
It's
Was
just,
it much more? I know it's like a big urban sprawl down there. Was there more separation between the different towns or cities back then?
I don't recall it. I think they all ran together even back then.
Yeah. How was the beach back then?
I love going to the beach,
Yeah,
body surf,
that's right. Um, shoot, I was gonna ask you something.
have that clock in the background.
What's that?
Mom's clock is ringing.
Is it? I
You
can't
didn't
hear,
hear it?
I can't
I,
hear it.
I thought maybe you'd hear it.
It must be 3 minutes faster than my cell phone.
Yeah, it's ahead of time and got adjusted. In fact, I haven't even turned it back for the daylight savings
Oh,
time.
that's right. Oh, so now I remember what I was gonna ask you. So what about, like what's happening today with all this shootings and mass shootings and conflict in the Middle East and earthquakes and fires and do you remember
Oh,
all this happening as much when you were younger?
we had a lot more earthquakes when I was living in LA.
Huh, really?
But as far as all these shootings, I mean, there's nothing but shooting and shootings and shootings going on today. I don't remember that. Going back to the Wild West. Isn't a day goes by that there isn't somebody shot or stabbed to death in Stockton, for example,
Stockton? Really?
and here in Sacramento.
Wow.
Just an awful lot of stabbings going on that I don't remember happening when we moved up here.
And you don't remember that in LA when you were there?
No,
Hmm,
nothing like that. Not the way the world is today.
yeah, that's wild. Well, dang, it's not good. Okay. Oh, this is kind of an interesting segue. So, do you remember your family discussing world events and politics?
No, never,
No, never.
no,
Really?
never.
You wouldn't talk about the Republicans and the Democrats and the
No,
presidents of the United States or anything?
no,
Really?
not that.
Your dad was just not
My
interested?
dad was working in his restaurant 12 hours a day or more, and just
7 days a week?
he would shut down on Sundays, but other than that, he was work those hours. Yeah.
Huh.
In Caldwell, he had that restaurant. It was open 6 days a week. He'd open it up for breakfast in the morning, and he wouldn't finish closing it down at 9 at night, and it'd be 10:30 before he'd get home.
So your family dinners were at the restaurant.
Yep, that's all we did.
Wow. But so that's something that's different from when you were a kid. Are a lot of the stores and restaurants open on, they weren't as many open on Sundays when you were young, right?
Well, when we lived in Massachusetts, went back to Massachusetts, they only had on Sunday everything was closed except one gas station, a pharmacy would be open for 4 hours in the morning, and a newspaper stand. That was it.
Huh.
Everything else was closed.
Yeah. Well, that's
They're
sure
called
different.
Blue Sundays, I guess is what I think it was referred to.
Blue Sundays?
Sunday was mean. It was closed. Everything was closed in Massachusetts when I took a job back there, and Dennis and Debbie were young.
Huh. But what about where you were growing up, like in LA or Idaho, where things closed on Sunday?
My dad closed his restaurant on Sundays. Yes.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that sure changed a lot, right?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, next question is about politics again. How would you describe yourself politically? Are you conservative or liberal, and why? I know
I'm
the
a
answer.
conservative Republican.
You're a conservative Republican. Why?
I don't think you should be giving everything to everybody. We as a nation are going to go bankrupt with the liberal stuff going on.
Right?
I can't imagine what my grandkids are going to have to pay to try to get the United States out of debt. As bad as it's getting in debt,
Yeah.
trillions and trillions of dollars, and then we're sending more billions and billions off to Israel and Ukraine and all over the world. I don't know. I don't see how you can keep borrowing money from China to fund all this that we're giving out to everybody else.
Eventually something's gonna snap, right?
Right? China's going to take us over.
Mm,
That's just anyway. That's me.
I hear you. Do most of your kids feel the same way?
Everybody, but you know who.
I That's funny. We won't mention that. We won't get into politics.
Oh,
All right. Do you remember? Hmm. Do you remember what you or your parents thought about income tax when it began in 1913? That's too long ago.
yes, I don't remember any of that.
When was your dad born? What year?
1906, I think it was.
Oh, so he was only, what, 7?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Probably wouldn't even remember.
he would have still been in England.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He
Okay.
didn't come over from England until the 30s, 1928, somewhere between 1928 and
I
1930.
thought it was 1930 he came out with Ella, right? To get married in the Salt Lake Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know what their politics were, money wise, and so on over there in England at the time.
right.
Never talked about it.
Hmm. Um, I'm probably gonna show my ignorance here. I don't know if this was before your time or not, but the next question has to do with prohibition. Do you remember anything about the days of prohibition?
No, I was not around then.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
was back in
so
the 20s, I think, right?
yeah, I guess. Well, now the next question is about how did the depression affect you?
Didn't.
Okay, but think about how it might have indirectly affected you, because didn't your dad live in the time of the Great Depression?
Well, they came over and went into the middle of the Depression, probably the beginning of the Depression when they immigrated from England.
Yeah. So how did he in experiencing the depression influence your life? Think about how he acted or
Well, he was very always honest kids about not wasting food, I guess, and that could have been a thing from the Depression.
yeah,
You'd always come home from the restaurant and go through the garbage can, make sure we hadn't thrown any food out.
really?
Yeah, we had thrown any food out that was edible, he would be on our case about it.
Would he take it out of the trash?
I don't recall that.
I remember you told me once that you'd thrown a crust of bread in the trash and he'd made you take it out of the trash.
Could have been. I don't recall that, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably true. Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes sense if he grew up or if he spent that time in the Great Depression that he'd be very concerned about that and careful.
He'd always say there's starving children in Europe.
Yeah. So don't throw food away.
Don't throw food away.
But you know that us as a country, 40% of That 40% of our food goes in the garbage. I don't know if
I
you've heard
know it.
that before.
A lot of food wasted, yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
including me nowadays with just myself being, I go buy a chicken at Costco. I don't get through the whole chicken. I end up throwing part of it away.
Because it goes bad.
It was bad, yeah.
Mm. You need to get a dog, Dad. The dog will eat the rest of the chicken for you. You can feed something.
Excuse me.
Okay. Oh, this is an interesting question. Question 108. What US president have you admired the most and why? I think I know who it is, but I'm gonna let you say it. See if I,
Ronald Reagan.
yeah, that's who I was gonna say.
Yep,
Why Ronald Reagan?
yep. We need more Ronald Reagans.
But why do you admire Ronald Reagan the most out of all the other presidents?
I think he had good plans and got them implemented and was great for the country.
Did how did the country prosper when he was president? Or what changes happened?
I can't think of any offhand. I know it was good times.
Yeah,
We didn't have all the baloney going on nowadays. I'm getting so tired of this political stuff on the news anymore.
yeah, I hear you. How old were you when Reagan was president?
My 40s, I guess.
So you had most
Is
of
he 40s or 50s? I'm not sure. I don't remember the years.
so most of your kids were born at that time. You had a young family,
Mm-hmm.
except for your two older kids that were already on their way.
Yeah.
Hmm. Ronald Reagan. I knew that's what you were gonna say. Um, how are we on time, Dad?
What is it?
It's 4:08 your time.
Oh, we got a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we can get to question 110 and then we'll stop. Um, 109. What did you think of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
I don't know a lot about him. I think he probably was a fairly good president. I mean, he was pulling it out at the end of the Depression.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't,
you were born in 36, right?
right. Yeah.
So you probably don't remember much about him.
I don't.
Do you
Only
remember?
things that I've heard, in in history and stuff, but I don't know. Personally, I don't know anything about him.
So you
Honest.
wouldn't remember when he had died?
No.
I think they need to update these questions. I think these are for people that are much older than you. Okay, last question for today. Oh, interesting. How did you react to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy?
Shocked. Absolutely shocked.
Yeah,
I remember where I was at the time that happened. I don't think anybody that my age would have not remembered it today.
really? It was that big of a deal, huh?
Oh, it was, yeah. I was working for ITT Gilfillan near
ITT
Grandma's
who?
house. Gilfillan. They
Was that in
build.
LA?
It was in Los Angeles. I was working as an electronic technician.
ITT Gilfillan.
It
Hmm,
was Gilfillan Brothers when I first went to work for them, and then they were bought out by ITT.
interesting. And that was right there in downtown LA?
No, it was over. It was near where Grandma's apartment house was.
Oh,
In fact, the lady that got me the job over there lived in one rented apartment from Grandma.
oh, cool. So you were working there at the time and that were you at work when you heard about it?
I was at work when it came across the news and just echoed through everybody.
Really?
I remember one of the guys, so I was disgusted with it. He kept running up and down the aisle saying, "They shot the bastard! They shot the
Oh,
bastard!"
jeez.
He was so
That's,
happy about it. It just made me so mad.
yeah. Did it come across the radio or did you guys have a TV in there?
We had a radio on.
Hmm. And he's running up and down the halls yelling that. Jeez.
Yeah, through the assembly area where we put together the radars. The company built shipboard radar systems for landing aircraft on the aircraft carriers.
Really interesting.
And I was heading up a group that did some of the subcomponent testing.
Oh, that's interesting. So was that moment as shocking as, I mean, you think about when the Twin Towers came down in 9/11,
Well, I don't know.
World
They're
Trade?
both disastrous and
Yeah,
something I'll never forget.
wow.
Remember both incidents very clearly.
Yeah. Where were you when the World Trade Towers came down? Do you remember?
I don't remember where it was. I saw it on television. I know. So I saw the second plane go into the tower, second tower.
Yeah,
We heard about it and then turned the television on. Well, I
yeah.
don't know. If I was at home, I guess it must have been at home if I saw it on TV. So I don't know.
Uh, I was it was when I was getting my PhD at ASU, and Bailey and Kylie and I were in the front room of our apartment. I think they were watching Teletubbies on TV or something, and then it came across.
Yeah,
That was pretty wild.
but both of those incidents I remember very well. So never forget.
Yeah. Wow. Well, cool. We got through to
Well,
110. 10
all
questions
righty.
in 30 minutes.
All righty. Great.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. So we'll hopefully let's do it next week again. We'll start with 111.
Okay. Sounds good.
So you're going to your singles activity now?
Yeah.
Did
Get my shoes on, get ready to go.
you bake your brownies?
No, I'm not taking anything today. They're
Oh,
providing turkey, gravy, and mashed potatoes.
nice. Little pre-Thanksgiving thing, huh?
Thanksgiving thing, you know,
Is this like a break the fast kind of activity?
to break the fast potluck. Yeah.
Cool. Well, have fun.
And we missed a Friday night event. They had a cornhole contest in
Yeah.
Folsom, at the Stake Center in Folsom. Bruce loves cornhole.
Yeah. Is he pretty good at
He is. I'm not,
it?
but I have trouble with my balance when I'm standing trying to throw that.
Yeah. Maybe
Hopefully,
hold your walker
hope all that
table
improves
again.
when I get the surgery done.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, I'm gonna let
All
you go
righty.
get ready. Love
Love
you.
you.
See you next
Have a
week.
rest of good evening. Love you.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.